This is the Season of Discovery Phase 2 Gnomeregan Combat and Assassination Rogue Guide. I will be covering gear, talents, consumables and debuffs on the target and rotation at the end with a VOD. I will also put an entire list of add-ons VCARs that I use in the raid for those who requested for it. I will also segment this video, so those who need to skip through and just check the rotation out or maybe something else, you can go ahead and do that. But for starters, I'm going to be covering the gear and what to use. Firstly, you need to have the leatherworking helm and gloves from the profession in phase 1. You also need to have the belt from engineering, and you need to get your rep up for Warsong Gulch to get the ring and the bracers. These are very nice options because there is nothing else to get besides these items, which are very expensive from Uldaman. For weapons, your options are the Blood Harvest and these for AoE damage. You're going to be wanting to use this on Menagerie, on Pull, and then swap back to these ones. For mechanical bosses, use Dismantle, and for elemental bosses like Fallout, use Elemental Slaying if you really want to min-max, otherwise just keep using that. Trinket wise, use the BFT trinket and the last boss from Gnomeregan, and you're going to want to proc the chicken debuff, or buff sorry, before the boss fights. You can just use it on a mob that you're going to be combo pointing on before pulls. This is the entirety of the gear. I don't really want to go through the BOEs that you can get that are gonna maybe be like 1 more DPS like this one. This is just from the raid and the PvP event without any hassle or gold needed to buy them. I'm gonna be moving on to the consumables now. For starters, you need to have Disability, no weapon enchant, for the main hand at least, because you need to have Wind Fury, Shadow Oil on the offhand, which is really nice, it's stronger than anything else. For food, you're gonna just be using Dragon Breath Chili with something else. If you want to have the effect of both, use the normal food buff and then Dragon Breath Chili when the normal one is applied to you. For the elixirs, use Agility. You can have the scroll from Strength 3, which is nicer than this one, but it's very expensive. Bulking Root is not an important option, it's just a little bit of DPS. And then you're going to want to have lesser Arcane Elixir and Firepower to enhance your Dragon Breath Chili and the Landmine. Debuff wise, you're gonna have to have at least one player to apply this debuff in the raids, mainly because it increases the poison damage and poison application. As you can see, it reduces the enemy resistances. For talents, at least for now, I'm gonna be trying this spec right here with Mutilate, of course. I just want to see how AR and BF works and how it fails. I know for a fact that this is gonna be really nice for Menagerie because I'm gonna be cleaving a lot, but in general, all rogues are gonna be playing this spec anyways for the poison damage. Remember, the other spec is basically trading the poison damage for offhand damage. There's nothing much of a difference between them. You're just gonna lose the cold blood and poison damage and just gain AR, BF and offhand damage. I just want to test it out, see how it feels. Maybe it's better, maybe it's not, who knows. At least for now, in the paper of the sims, which is alpha, it does sim higher than this one, which is the assassination spec. But we'll see. I will show you guys how it feels like in my next video most likely. Alright, before we play the video, I'm gonna just explain to you guys how to prep for the pulls. Obviously, you need to have one mob to get 5 combo points on, and if you have the chicken, use chicken to get the proc. And for pulls, you have the same general rotation that you always do regardless of the boss. Open with Invis into Oil of Immolation, and then hard mutilate the boss until you have 5 deadly poison procs. Whenever that happens, you're gonna want to have Master of Subtlety with all the procs that you can have, either from the belt, helm and gloves, and then instantly mutilate into a T, depending on your energy obviously. Don't T if you have high energy, just spend it and then T. Like as you can see here, I have the 5 deadlies, I use my procs, I vanish, I instantly envenom the boss, I get 5 combo points into a T, another one, and I make sure that I push in at least 3 envenoms before my cooldowns are gone. and this kind of gets me to at least 1000 DPS. And don't forget the Goblin Landmine. It kind of procs late into the fights, so as long as the boss is positioned, instantly drop it down. For any boss besides Grubs and Fallout, you pretty much do the same rotation. There's no difference at all, especially Crowd Pummeler right here. He's just a tank and spank boss. Nothing much I can say about this one to improve your DPS anyways. You're doing the same thing, it's just a longer fight, that's it. For Electro, you can do something about this boss because he does a knockback, and for the knockback you can just go in front of the boss and have your back to the wall. As you can see here, my priest is going out to bait the shock towards him, and then he comes into melee, and what we're gonna do is we're all gonna go in front of the boss to bait the AoE damage or the AoE knockback towards us without getting knocked. As you can see, we're all going in front of the boss, he does the knockback, and we can go behind the boss again and continue DPSing. For Menagerie, what I like to do is Oil of Humiliation into Fap on Pull. I usually just throw a normal nade on this boss because it takes a long time, as I said, for the landmine to proc, so you're not gonna be hitting all 4 of them before the bosses have to move, because the sheep starts casting the Reflect, and the Reflect is casted around the mobs. They will all have the Reflect and the entire raid is gonna die. If your raid doesn't really know how to deal with these bosses, obviously you kinda have to put the rogue on the squirrel to kick it. It is a big DPS decrease because you're losing out on so much energy. If you have a decent amount of people who can kick, like 2 warriors or I don't know, mages or shamans even, just let them kick and you DPS instead, because it is a lot of DPS loss to not, just do your own rotation rather than kicking all the time. And since there is 4 bosses to choose from here, always go for the one who's debuffed the most. Obviously, people are not perfect, they're not gonna be debuffing everything to the full. As you can see here, I'm DPSing a boss without Sunders even, because I just have to, I gotta kick this one. So the boss fight is gonna be a bit slow because not everyone is debuffing all bosses. In general, you want the casters to just burn down the ship and the dragonling, while the melees kill these two. But we have to swap these and just make sure that everything goes down at the same time. Otherwise, there's nothing much to say about this boss fight. Remember to use the STV offhand to just do the AoE explosion on pull and then swap back to the normal weapon. Because even though the STV weapons are not even biz, because there is a fast sacrificial dagger of power that you can get from the auction house. But these are pretty nice options, but still you kinda want to have the fastest weapon in your offhand for deadly procs. For the last boss, as I said, you're gonna do the same thing, get combo points, get your chicken proc, and on pull you can invis. You're doing the same rotation on this boss, there is nothing to be said really. You could assign your players to do different cooldowns on pulls of each phase, such as basically have me and the warrior use cooldowns on pull, and then the hunter and the feral maybe on the next one. As long as it doesn't interfere with your cooldowns, because the boss fight for majority of the player base at the moment at least is plus 4 minutes. If you have a paladin tank, tell them to just never move from the middle, because they can just bubble off the stacks anyways, for phase 1 at least. In phase 2, what I like to do is I just want to have everyone fap before the first special ability and just go hard DPS on the boss without having to do any pillar, because whenever you're fapped the explosion doesn't do damage to you, at least from the bombs, not the boss itself. You should also be frostbotting anyway, so it's relevant, and just hard nuke the boss while you're fapped. No debuff is gonna be applied to anyone and the boss is gonna die way faster than you think. In phase 3, you should be always kicking the boss regardless of the assignments. Even if you have 5 kickers, what if they all miss and then you all die, right? So keep your energy to kick the boss every single time. Nothing much to be said around this fight, it's just a tank and spank again, and the rotation is the same thing as I said on Grubbies and Fallout. For the last phase, what you can do is take the boss to the entrance, and just hard burn the boss while the casters deal with the bombs. So you don't want to do any pillar at all if the mana is fine. You just want to burn the boss down as fast as you can in the last phase with all the cooldowns there is. So just send everything on the boss, burn it down, and just ignore the pillars. Make one caster just kill the bombs. It's really easy and doable. And yeah, this is the entirety of Gnomeregan Phase 2 guides. As you can see, my chicken just proc there, but it's kind of useless at the end. I will show you guys how it works with the combat as well soon whenever I do the fights. If you found this video helpful towards your rotation, your DPS in general, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for the future ones. And I will see you guys in the next video.